Nice to meet you. My name is Gottfried Hebenstreit. I'm from the Eco-Social Forum Austria and Europe, and I'm talking about the bioeconomy and key principles of sustainability, as well as some policy examples. Today's video will be about first some definitions about the bioeconomy, then the relation to the circular economy, and then some examples of regional policy making on the local and municipal level. Two examples I would like to emphasize. First, the National Network of Bioeconomy Austria, which is a new cluster that is developing, and it's a specific outcome of the Austrian bioeconomy strategy. And the second, are some specific bioeconomy regions that also received public funding, like the Styrian Vulkanland, focusing on agriculture, or some more examples of those regions. First, a little bit about us and my background. As said before, I'm from the Eco-Social Forum Austria and Europe. We are an organization that aims for an efficient and at the same time socially and ecologically sustainable balanced economy. How are we doing this? First of all, we publish several policy briefs, focus on different target groups, but especially within the field of bioeconomy, we always mention that the bioeconomy, if understood sustainably, it is a perfect translation of the concept of an eco-social market economy into practice. Some examples, how are we working? We organize Austria's largest agricultural conference with over 3,500 participants and 11 days all over the country. From 2013 on, we publish small booklets with a focus on the regional level, where we emphasize and bring forward projects of regions and municipalities that work on and apply the concept of eco-social market economy. And one publication also was specifically about bioeconomy. 2014, we started a network called Bioeconomy Austria, and the goal was to achieve a national bioeconomy strategy. We wanted to have something like that in Austria. We knew on the European level, discussion started about that. There were already some things going on. We wanted to have this also for Austria, and therefore we gathered a network of organizations that on the first side would not really fit or talk to each other because they are under competition, for example. But we managed this, and in 2019 the government really enacted the National Bioeconomy Strategy. So this was the success of the first Bioeconomy Austria network. It was a small group of quadruple helix and multi-actor stakeholders that urged for this strategy. So the project stopped, and we did other projects, for example, like the Horizon 2020 project Bloom, together with the Center for Social Innovation, which is also part of the RuralBioUp project. We were Austrian partner and hub leader for Austria and Germany, that project. And then, as a result of the bioeconomy strategy, there was the project of a national bioeconomy cluster. And we became part of the consortium for setting up a network, building up a network for this cluster. And we were responsible for communication and network building. And what other title of the project would be better than Bioeconomy Austria? So Bioeconomy Austria came back alive with a different focus. Okay, so some projects that we are working on now to the bioeconomy. As you probably might know, there are many definitions of bioeconomy. Most of them have the same goal. I will quote now the Austrian bioeconomy strategy because, as mentioned, it is it was enacted in 2019 after the German bioeconomy strategy, after the European strategy, and the main benefit for this date after the German and the European one, the main benefit was that the government and those writing the strategy could learn also from the mistakes of the other strategies or the critical aspects that were discussed in the media. So it took a longer time, but within Austria, we could also put the focus, therefore, on some important ecologic and social aspects. You will see that later. But for us, the Austrian strategy is some lighthouse project that encompasses several very important aspects that we would like to present you today. So for the definition, within the strategy, it's quoted that bioeconomy stands for an economic concept that aims to replace fossil resources, important raw materials and energy, with renewable raw materials in as many areas and applications as possible. And it covers the industrial and economic sectors that produce, process, and handle or use biological resources. From our experience now within the project of Bioeconomy Austria, I would add or could use those resources in the future, but maybe to that later. Okay, if we follow this definition, then when we say we want to replace all fossil materials with the bio-based products, then it would require only for Austria up to 4 million hectares of additional land. For comparison, for you, the agricultural land currently is shrinking and stands at 2.6 million hectares, and the forested area grows a little, but not as much, and stands with 3.4 million hectares. So something that is not really possible. We cannot change all the resources with bio-based, all the fossil materials with bio-based products. So we need to prioritize. How is that also discussed in the bioeconomy strategy, for example? Well, if we follow the Sustainable Development Goals, we have several areas that addresses the economic, the ecological, and the social sphere. There are global goals that could lead our planet into a livable and better future. I cannot go into detail of all the Sustainable Development Goals now, but I would like to emphasize certain aspects of how those Sustainable Development Goals are presented here on that graph, which is also used in the National Bioeconomy Strategy of Austria, this picture. So the goals are not really all next to each other, but they follow the principle that is also used in the donut economy. So if we start at the beginning, at the top, we see the economy. We see goals that addresses the economy. But the economy circle is a little bit smaller than the social circle. So the economy is embedded in the social sphere. And both of those are embedded in the biosphere and act within planetary boundaries. So that should be the goal. That should be one of the key principles followed by all bioeconomy actions. So what are some examples of processes that follow this perspective? We have three, or let me start differently. Principally, there are three strategies that, or three guidelines for a sustainable bioeconomy. First, we have efficiency. This graph is about efficiency. Second, we have sufficiency, meaning thinking about, do we really need this product? Do we really need this process, and prioritizing? And third, we have consistency, meaning that it's the best would be if the product is in this condition. For example, a chair stays a chair made from wood for a long time because the wood stores the carbon. Okay, so then we come to the resource efficient recovery and the efficiency paradigm. There are also 3 possible ways of doing this. First, cascading use, meaning that when we have a product like the chair mentioned before, and we cannot use it as a chair anymore because it's so broken and destroyed, then we should not burn it, because there are some options of use between the burning and the usage of a chair. For example, we can make some construction material out of it, something else. Second, the fractionation. This means that we take one part. We stay at the example of wood, for example. We take a piece of wood and we put it into a biorefinery, and out of this wood we can make several chemical compounds. I have an example of that later. And the third, the recycling. You probably all know the recycling paradigm very well. For example, if we stay again with the wood example, we have an industry in Austria that produces fibers made from wood. They make shirts out of it, or trousers, clothing in general, or bed sheets, bedding also, viscose it's called, or lyocell under the mark of Tencel, for example, in Austria. And so if we have this shirt and we don't need this shirt anymore, there is the possibility. The shirt is made from wood. There is, at the moment, the most probable way that it will end up in the residue bin, in the waste bin. But the same industry company, it sets up a project now of textile recycling of wood-based fibers. So you can bring back the shirt and there will be made new shirts out of it. So that's the third principle. So some examples that you can look at. Basically, the bioeconomy encompasses all sectors mentioned before. For example, agriculture, forestry, water, and residues and side streams within all of those resources. If we start with the agrobioGale on the left side, this is something that fits really these sustainability principles mentioned before, because what is this? This is a hydrogel, some small parts made from lignin, which is a waste product of the paper production, and with this granulate you can make dried land arable again. So the promise of agrobioGale and the project of this is that you can also make deserts arable again, and plants can grow there. And also this granulate can also save and store the most important nutrients for the plants within it itself. This is a startup, a spin-off of University of Austria, and now it is coming to the next level because it found an industry partner in the paper industry, and from next year, I think they will start processing it on a larger scale. So this could also have a very nice climate impact, because it makes several areas of land feasible for agriculture again, which were not used at this moment, for example. If we go to the next graph, this is the principle of a biorefinery. The company's name is Lenzing, and this replaces synthetic fibers with wooden fibers. So within the pulp, from the pulp there will be made the fiber later on, but also another part out of this wood are different and other bio-based materials. For example, acid or magnesium or soda and different other parts and products for the chemical industry. The rest is used for bioenergy, for processing and for heating the whole biorefinery itself. If we come to the next example, we have a home, we have a grown bio, its name is the company, a mushroom cooler. So it replaces styrofoam made from fossil fuels with mycel from mushrooms. It's a company based in the Netherlands, and we didn't try it out yet, but we've already ordered some samples. So I just put it here to show you that the variety of possibilities is really great for bioeconomy and sustainability. Some other examples: ARZIP is a research center in Austria that focuses on microalgae that can replace synthetic skincare products with bio-based and microalgae-based skincare products. But microalgae, as well as other resources, they are also a big hope for the whole sustainable hydrogen production. And the last example is a partner of us in the south of Austria that developed a wind turbine tower, a wind tower made from wood, for example. Also a possibility within bioeconomy. Okay, we've come now to two more examples of bioeconomy in action with a specific focus on policy connections. First, already mentioned some aspects of it, the project of Bioeconomy Austria. We apply multi-level governance model, and we are setting up a national bioeconomy cluster. At the moment, Bioeconomy Austria is the gateway to the bioeconomy and an expanding network of regions, clusters, platforms, businesses, research, politics, and societal organizations. We started in 2022, as mentioned already. At the moment, we stand at 250 organizations that joined the networks, and the goals are to share knowledge, create joint projects, and foster the circular economy within the bioeconomy. And our initial focus is on wood. In 2024, the network will form into a national bioeconomy cluster. This is also part of the government plan of the current government of Austria, that such cluster has to be enacted. How does this multi-level governance model look like? In a nutshell, we have 5 regional hub managers in regions of Austria. They identify the key stakeholders, boost regional network, initiate collaborations, and integrate them into flagship projects. Then they work together with each other and develop cross-regional projects, but not on a national scale, for example. One example could be the Aviation Forum that will take place in 2 weeks. And it's a collaboration of 2 of our hubs, together with the Ministry of Climate, where the topic of sustainable aviation will be discussed, but not only from the sustainable fuel perspective, but also from the building and interior aspect, because wood can also be used as a very lightweight material in interior design, for example. So this is some kind of collaboration and connection that has developed within this model. Then we have the national support and knowledge management with expertise on bioeconomic topics, connecting research and development with partners, and define ecological conditions as well. And as mentioned, ongoing exchange between those players. This is the graph that should show you how the process of this cluster building, of this setting up the cluster works. The first, on the left side, the moment we have or before the project, we had a lot of clusters, networks, platforms dealing with bioeconomy in Austria, but the interaction level was very low. Our hubs connected them with each other in the regional hubs. And in the last step, next year, they will form a national cluster where they collaboratively work together. The aim is not to create a new cluster that gains some kind of wealth or revenue for itself, but the aim is, before the competition starts, to connect, to lead innovation in a sustainable way, and to therefore accelerate the sustainable development. And the last example that I brought for you are 3 bioeconomy regions. I'm sorry, the graph is in German, but I will describe it. It's from a publication of the Ecosocial Forum. So within the bioeconomy strategy of Austria, there was one goal to fund and to set up specific small-scale regions that focus on circular economy and bioeconomy, and the regions could apply for this program. The winning region got 1 million euros of initial funding, and there were, I think, 20 regions that sent an application, that they developed some concepts, and then in the next step, 3 regions were chosen to work out a specific plan of how they would enact and enable bioeconomy in their regions. And this I wanted to show you. In the end, the Styrian Vulcanland, it got the funding, focusing on soil, on circular economy within agriculture, producing biochar and other stuff. Maybe also the agrobiogel will have a part there. But to show you the diversity of what is possible, Melkscheibs, for example, the second region, it focuses on waste management, circular economy, biogas, and also communication, how without any microplastics, agriculture is possible through bio-based products. And the third one in the Alps is the Biocon Valley Pongau, also a region where municipalities have bioeconomy plans at their core of priorities. They focus on youth, on education, on schools, etc. So thank you very much. This was everything. I would like also to thank you for the invitation. And if you have any questions, you can contact us from the Ecosocial Forum Austria and Europe, or you could also go just on bioeconomyaustria.at, and you will also find our contacts there and see a lot of what is going on in Austria within the bioeconomy. Thank you very much.